Welcome back to Open. I am Javier E. Gomez, filling in for Rina Valentin. Please remember that you can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at BronxNet TV. You can also like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Starting with the program, En Foco, which means on focus in Spanish, is a nonprofit organization that supports photographers of color in the United States. The entity just announced the winners of its 2023 Media Arts Works in Progress Fund. This is an initiative in partnership with BronxNet to support New York City-based early career creators who engage with digital media technologies. And today we meet one of them. Her name is Daisy Ruiz, a Bronx-based illustrator and writer who uses her craft to tell nuanced stories about growing up in the Bronx, tapping into personal empowerment and embracing self-acceptance. Let's welcome her, Daisy Ruiz.
Hello, hola.
Nice to meet you. Encantado de conocerte, Daisy. Tell me a little bit, what is this Media Arts Works in Progress Funds by En Foco in partnership with BronxNet?
So it's for the works in progress, focusing on digital media, because En Foco is like branching out more into also doing other forms of media, so illustration as well. And I applied because I wanted to make a paper doll that you could print out. So I wanted to merge digital and physical together because you can print out the doll and, you know, work with it physically with your hands. And there's just so much media. There's so many apps for doll making, and I wanted people to be able to see themselves in paper dolls and their environments.
This is the paper wall, the paper doll, I should say, version that I cut myself in color. Is really beautiful, but I didn't have a color printer in my office. So I started doing the exercise as well, cutting the little dresses. And we're going to talk about the paper doll project. But before we start talking the specifics about it, I'm a little puzzled. En Foco works mainly with videographers and photographers,
Yes.
and yet you're mainly an illustrator. Why do you think they accepted your proposal?
Oh, well, they accepted my proposal because I document my community through my illustrations. So even like through the backgrounds of this, like I had to take pictures of bodegas, and I use that in my work. So a lot of my illustrations actually take place in different neighborhoods of the Bronx.
Why are you so keen, Daisy, in documenting the very specifics of the landscape of the Bronx and the experience of life in the Bronx, not in ways that you can see somewhere else or that you don't see kind of anywhere else?
Well, with gentrification, there's like a commodification of poverty, and you know, there's so many talks about bodegas and so many things that are used in media that use the aesthetics of poverty. And I wanted to reclaim that and put people that look like us in the art that I do to reclaim that.
You were one of only 5 people chosen. Do you know anything about the other content creators?
Yes, they're doing documentaries, and they're also doing filmmaking and documenting places in the Bronx and other things. Yeah.
Now, in terms of your project, the collaboration with BronxNet was actually to create this website where the community from anywhere in the world could go and download the paper doll with all of the accessories and the backdrop. They can do it digitally. In what format?
You could just print it out.
Which is what I did
Yeah.
yesterday in my office. And then I did the exercise of cutting. What is it about paper dolls that you wanted to do this project?
Well, when I was little, I used to play with the Barbie paper dolls. My grandma used to buy them outside of school for me. And as I grew up, as I got into like the early 2000s, everything moved to digital. So I would play online with paper dolls. And so I just wanted to make a paper doll that encompassed the experience I had growing up in the early 2000s. So all the outfits are early 2000s outfits, so like Pepe jeans, the jersey dresses, and all of that's coming back in style. A lot of people thrift and they put together outfits. So I just wanted to make a shout out to that.
This story is actually very deep because, as I understand, the name of the paper doll is Little Miss Burnside,
Yes.
for the neighborhood Burnside, and you also saw it as, as an ode and tribute of the African American women that you saw in the neighborhood during that era. Please tell me about that period and what you saw in these women and how you wanted to pay homage to them.
Well, I'm Mexican American. I'm first generation. And, you know, my parents were not the most stylish people. And the way they try to dress me, it was something that I could possibly get made fun of at school. So I looked up to my peers and my teachers and the people around my community to see, like, oh, like, how do they dress? How can I fit in more? And I really enjoy how Black women, Dominican women, like how they put their accessories. And you know, a lot of these outfits come from like the Chinese gift shops, like the Chinese slippers and the name belts. They all come from those
The Betty
those
Boop
stores.
pajama pants, very, very
Yes.
famous in the 90s
Yes,
and the
so-
2000s.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show that, like, even if you're low income, you can still have like style, and also like so many so many fashion styles come from Black women, and I wanted to pay homage to that and be like, hey, like, these are the women that are like setting the tone of how to dress, how to, you know, people used to think that long nails were ghetto. Now everybody wears long nails.
Why did you choose to set everything in the context of a bodega?
It's the place that most people go to. It's a place that everybody goes to get like chips and like even in the background of the art, like I put, yes, we do accept EBT for
It's
hot
very
food.
specific. I mean,
Yes.
you close your eyes and it is the exact way a bodega looks and feels.
Yes. And I wanted to show, you know, the Dominican men that like run the back of the bodega and everything, and you know, you got the little hookahs here and the calling cards. Yeah.
Now, you're very talented and you have a lot of projects going on. And I know that one of your biggest projects so far is your comic book, Gordita. Please tell me about it. I understand it's coming out in Spanish very soon.
Yes. So Gordita Built Like This is a story about, well, it's autobiographical in a way, and it also mixes like lessons I learned later in life. So it's about Gordita, and she's in middle school, and she's the only Mexican girl in school. And so because she's not curvy like most of the people there are, she gets made fun of. They say, oh, like, you have a flat booty and all that. And so she ends up becoming friends with other outcasts, and she learns that even if you have a big booty or not, like, girls still get bullied. And so with the help of her counselor, she learns to accept her body as it is and to have the confidence to wear whatever she wants.
I know you have two versions of the comic book.
Yes.
One version is full length with all of the reality of what happens in school and the way people speak, really. And then you have a different version that's for younger audiences and families.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the process of creating the project? I understand it started with a one-page exploration, then it went to 6 pages, then it became 28 pages, and from a few images in the comic strip, it's now more than 100 or nearly 100 images.
Yes. So I began the comic back in 2019, and it was just a one-page comic about how I had like a belly and small chest and small booty, and I wasn't like the Latinas usually shown on television. And so a lot of people connected with that. And then Stephanie Rodriguez curated this show at Latinx NYU called Oye, Cuéntame un Cuento. And she asked me if I could expand the story for them. And so it went to 6 pages. And from there, Casita Maria found my work. And so did my publisher, Black Jose Press. And through I was working on the comic at the same time, so I was making the comic for Casita Maria in children's version, and I was doing the Teen Plus version with my publisher. And it was really cool to work with Casita Maria to do it because my work was exposed to so many children at Casita Maria, and I even met like the parents on opening night and everything. And I've had conversations about body acceptance with children up to like older women as
When
well.
is the Spanish language translation coming out?
It's in September.
And how can people get the book now as it is?
Oh, you can go to my website, drazies.com. It has a link there.
Now, the book has received a pretty big nomination.
Yes.
Tell me about it, please.
The Ignatz Award for Outstanding Comic.
It's one of the highest awards for the comics
well,
world, and it's your debut comic strip.
Yes. It's pretty amazing because, you know, it's set in the Bronx. It's set in the South Bronx. Like 3rd Avenue, 149th Street, where I grew up. And it's pretty amazing that, you know, they're recognizing that the Bronx does have talent.
You once again mentioned a very specific address, very specific location. Why is it important that we continue to document Bronx stories, very specific, especially when mainstream media is not telling these stories?
Because the neighborhood is always changing, especially with like businesses coming in. There's a lot of construction going on. I actually had to move from my neighborhood on Grand Concourse because of all the construction that was happening. And so I just want to document the neighborhood as it is, how it was like for the people. And, you know, usually a lot of the improvements aren't made for the actual people in the neighborhood. So I wanted to show that, you know, there is value in our cultures and our neighborhoods.
For more about En Foco's 2023 Media Arts Work in Progress Fund and the organization's additional programs and special events, visit enfoco.org. And for more about Daisy and to follow her work, visit drazies.com. And now we know where Drazies comes from. Stay tuned for more Open after the break.